Hit it. We'll see how this goes today. We started recording this edition of Stating the Obvious yesterday, and I've never had to do this before. We actually had to stop recording because after mocking liberal Democrats, there's something I don't do very often. After mocking liberal Democrats and making fun of them, the voice I made to do an imitation of a liberal Democrat freaking out about Sarah Palin, like, stressed my throat so much that I couldn't stop coughing, and we had to, like, abort recording for the day and go to the bar where I could recover.
You can scream and shout with all your might.
Oh, you can scream, shout, whine, cry, snivel, piss, moan.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
You can shove your opinion up your ass. That way Obama's cock has something to keep it company.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
And after doing this for years and years and years, you would think by now people would know that they might be wrong and I might be right. And that's just how we roll here at the Cynical Libertarian Society, which is located on the internet at cynlibsoc.com. Hanging out here. It's the 29th of August, hanging out with my coffee. Randy's over there in the control room looking adorable. And I am the Great One himself. And this is Stating the Obvious, the weapons platform from which I launch the cruise missile of my intellect. And homes in on, destroys, blows up with the nuclear warhead. Dumb motherfuckers all around the world who still think statism works. And if there are any survivors, then we mow them down with the machine gun because we like doing that. We like shooting statists with machine guns. That's one of my favorite things to do. Alright, so we did. We started this yesterday. And yesterday was also the day that, oh yeah, if you want to contact us here at Cynical Libertarian Society, the email is God, that's dog spelled backwards, God, at cynlibsoc.com. Coffee. Yeah. So, well, great. There it is. I'm off to a good start. I just dropped my notes. Not that I need notes, because I can ramble on pointlessly without notes. I don't need those. Yesterday, today is 29th of August, 2012. Yesterday was the day that the Messiah himself, Hussein Obama, he who walks on water and was born without birth certificate, the first affirmative action president of the United States, and the second coming of Jesus. He, with a capital H, was here in Fort Collins. He was touching people. He was healing the sick. He was turning water into wine. Some of my friends went to, there starts the coughing again. Some of my friends saw him. So I heard some stories. For those I'm a photographer. A lot of my friends are photographers. We had a photographer social last night. So I saw some good pictures of him, excluding political commentary. You know, it's getting to take a close-up picture of the president of the United States is cool, you know, in the sense of being a photographer. Sometimes you can exclude politics from your life. Well, I can. I know a lot of you can't. So in that sense, I mean, I saw some great pictures. Some of my friends one of my friends, she got to shake Obama's hand. So she had her camera in her right hand, and she shook Obama's hand with her left hand, and she got a picture of him as that was happening. So it looks like it's going to be, I only saw it on the back of the camera. It looks like it's going to be a very good shot. So great photo opportunities. And great for them. I mean, those are, I saw some great pictures that my friends got of him. He was on CSU campus. They cordoned off a part of it. I heard there were walls around it. The security, of course, was out of sight. I found it interesting that on the list of prohibited items, in addition to umbrellas, backpacks, sharp objects, I'm not sure how I mean, like a car key is a sharp object, but okay, whatever. You were not allowed to bring in any liquids. So considering it was hot and it was outside, I like that how all of the Messiah worshippers has to stand outside in the hot sun, and I was told it was very hot. Had to stand because they were on concrete under the sun. All the Messiah worshippers had to stand outside without anything to drink. And you're going to tell me this is not a religion. You know, you can come to the temple, but you can't drink any water while you're in there. Now, meanwhile, the Messiah was perfectly comfortable because he was in the air conditioning until it's time for him to talk. That's an assumption. I don't actually know that for a fact. But what I do know for a fact, because I saw a photograph of it, get this. They put up in the air, like hung up from a sky crane with ropes coming down to guide it, they had a piece of cheesecloth material or something like that up there to create shade in order to keep the sun out of Obama's eyes. And you're going to tell me you people don't think he's like a high priest of your religion or something. We can't let the sun get in Obama's eyes. I mean, that is oh God, you people make me sick. All right, but we're not here to... Oh yeah, and then there were helicopters. I knew it. I could tell when Obama was arriving because I live near campus. And I started getting buzzing. I started getting buzzed by helicopters flying very low. So it's like, Messiah must be in town. All right, now, I think we're done with Messiah's visit. More coffee. The actual point of today's podcast, now that we're 6 minutes into it, is to talk about the presidential election, which is, and then, so afterwards, we're all at Old Chicago's, and on the TV at Old Chicago, what's on the fucking TV at Old Chicago? I'm looking up, and there's the Republican, is the Republican convention going on right now? It looked like the convention. It was some kind of Republican wingding with a bunch of glitzy special effects. And somebody, I think this guy's name was Chris Christie, was talking. I don't know who the fuck he is, and I don't care enough. I mean, he's a Republican. He's a statist. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, Mitt Romney was not talking, but Mitt Romney was in the audience, and they kept showing him. And so anyhow, it's like, okay, we got Obama in town. We got Republicans on TV. I'm just fucking surrounded by statists. And I'm sitting here with a bunch of friends who are also photographers, who are also a big, giant bunch of fucking statists. Statists are everywhere. I hate statists. All right, let's talk about the presidential election. I was going to do a presidential election series a while back before the Republican primaries, back before we knew that Mitzi was going to be their choice. So every time I think about the Republicans, I have to laugh. Yeah, so let's start there. The Republicans, this time around for the presidential election, I gotta say, man, the Republicans really managed to dredge the bottom of the barrel. What's Herman Cain? I mean, who is he? There was that one chick. What was her name? It doesn't matter. There was Newt Gingrich. I didn't even know Newt Gingrich was still alive. And that's like a serious statement. If you would have walked up to me before the primaries and said, "Is Newt Gingrich dead?" I would have thought for a minute and said, yeah, I think so. I mean, Newt fucking Gingrich, that's, So anyhow, we ended up with the Mitzi. And of course, Ron Paul was in there. We'll talk about Ron Paul near the end or something, because I got plenty to say about Ron Paul and Ron Paul supporters. And neo-libertarians, which is a completely different podcast that's coming up. So anyhow, the Republicans, bottom of the barrel, they scraped it. We ended up with, one thing I do want to say about possibilities, Rick Santorum, Sanitarium, whatever, no, Santorum. Santorum is the name, right? I call him Rick Sanitarium because he should be in a sanitarium. I was really, 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 really fucking hoping that Rick Sanitarium would be the Republican nominee. Because here's fact number one. And by fact, let me say that this is a prediction. Write this down. Unless Obama really fucks up, and I don't think he can in the time that he has left, he's going to win re-election. The Mitzi is not going to beat him. Sanatorium was sure as hell not going to beat him, and Sanatorium would have made for a much more interesting campaign, I think. Because, like with his shit about his war on porn, that's going to work. What are you going to do? Shut down the internet? And actually he would. But, the war on porn and his really out there religious views, and I didn't keep up with him that much, but it's like just everything I saw about Sanatorium was so religiously right-wing, just over the top. If you didn't know that, like if an alien came here from another planet and didn't realize that this stuff was serious, they might think that that was some kind of comedy show or something. So Sanatorium was he was definitely the most entertaining individual. And I also think Sanatorium, if he would have been the nominee, he would have definitely ensured Obama's success, because there's so many people that I think Sanatorium running against Obama would have galvanized people who, because Mitzi might not get them to get off their ass and go vote. There's a lot of people Sanatorium would have made get off their ass and go vote against him. In other words, for Obama. So yeah, I just think Sanatorium would have been the more entertaining candidate. I don't think he's any more or less dangerous than any of these other people to my freedom. So I don't, and when I say that I wish he would have run, I'm not saying that I wanted him to win or that I agree with him on anything, but definitely the most entertainment value. I also want to say, I knew, because of the whole Dan Savage thing, redefining what sanitarium, whatever. See, I get all confused about what his real name is. Anyhow, redefining that as the leftovers from anal sex. So that's how I knew this guy even existed in the first place. And I knew a little bit about what his views were just from reading, blah, 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 whatever. So I, for many, many years, was under the assumption that Sanatorium was like an old dude. Because if you look at his views, if you look at his opinions, and you look at what his voting record, and the shit that comes out of his mouth, you would think this is like some fucking 80-year-old guy, he had, and when I saw a picture of him and he's like, 40 or, whatever, I don't know how old he is. He looks young. I'm like, that's him. This guy has the fucking attitude of an 80-year-old, racist white guy who's been a Christian all his life and wants to, go out and shoot fags so they'll go to hell sooner because God hates them and stuff. And I'm like, wow, I did not expect him to be that young. I seriously thought he was some fucking 80-year-old motherfucker drooling on himself with a walker. And that was what the Republican Party trotted out as their version of the future of America. And we wonder why the Republicans are incompetent motherfuckers. Well, I don't wonder. Some people wonder why the Republicans are incompetent motherfuckers. Or are they? Is this all part of a strategy? And I think it might be. We'll talk about that later. Because remember, the Republicans and the Democrats are statist. And they're evil and they're stupid. But they're good at doing what they do. And what they do is manipulate the political system. And what they do is they win elections. Keep in mind that people may say, well, the Republicans, lost against Obama or whatever. Or you can say, the Democrats lost against Ronald Reagan, or the Democrats lost seats in the House, or the Republicans lost seats in the Senate, whatever. For those of you who are Republicans or who are Democrats and can't see the bigger picture, that you're all a bunch of statists and you're all the fucking same thing, keep in mind this. Every election is won by either a Republican or a Democrat. I shouldn't say all. There's one independent in Congress. Every once in a while, somebody who's not but Republicans and Democrats win 99.99% of all elections at the federal level. Okay, they're very good at winning elections. And one way they do that, of course, is by excluding third parties, which they do very well. So all elections are won by either Republicans or Democrats. And Republicans or Democrats, Republicans and Democrats, control everything that happens in the government at the federal level. So they may be stupid and they may be incompetent, but they're very, very good at what they do. Don't ever fucking discount that. Okay? You may think that you Democrats who are worshiping Obama may think the Republicans are stupid and blah blah blah. Don't discount them. They know how to win elections. And those of you Republicans, don't the Democrats know how to win elections. They've won some elections before. I recently watched the documentary about Bill Clinton's campaign. What the fuck was it called, Randy? What was that documentary called? The War Room. The War Room. I can't talk. Yes. It was really good. Very well made documentary. Again, it was not a Michael Moore documentary. It's a real documentary where the political beliefs and so forth of the people making the documentary didn't come out. It was just showing stuff and allowing you to make your own decisions. So anyhow, if you're interested in politics and how that all works and everything, find it. It's called The War Room. It's about James Carville, who is a political fucking genius, no doubt about it. You know, the behind the scenes of Clinton's campaign. It's an excellent documentary about the political system. Okay, so the people who run these elections are not stupid, and they know what the fuck they're doing. They manipulate you people every 4 years. You go out and you vote for either one jackass or another jackass. That's another podcast we're going to do in the future. All right, let's get back to, now that we're, 20 minutes into this? Let's start 15 minutes. 15 minutes into this. Let's talk about now what I'm supposed to be talking about, which is the elections. The other thing I want to cover real quick, and this is sadly, I don't think, well, I may have predicted this somewhere in stating the obvious in the past. This is why I have to now start keeping track of my predictions on a separate page, because I never remember what I accurately predicted. But 3.5 years ago, after the Messiah won, I know a lot of my liberal friends were running around still having fits and convulsions. And this is where yesterday we had to stop recording because I lost my voice because I made fun of them. And I'm going to try it again, and hopefully we're going to be all right. If not, we'll have to go back to the bar. And all right. So 3.5 years ago, I'm sitting around surrounded by left-wing statists who, worship Obama. And this shit, every time I mentioned something about Obama being less than a god, I would hear this response, which basically boils down to this. The liberal Democrat left-wing statist would scrunch their face up and they would say, well, when Sarah Palin becomes president, she's gonna outlaw abortion, and she's gonna force all the women in America to get pregnant. And there would be drawn out versions of that, about how Sarah Palin was going to murder all the children and, and I don't know, whatever, kill the poor people and just what the fuck ever. But anyhow, Sarah Palin was the boogeyman. When Sarah Palin becomes president, blah, blah, blah. And 3.5 years ago, I tried to explain to these stupid people, number one, Sarah Palin is not going to be president. Number two, when the next presidential election comes around, Sarah Palin is not only not going to become president, Sarah Palin is not only not going to be the Republican nominee, Sarah Palin is in fact going to be no fucking where in sight. And yet again, as happens, I was right. Here we are. We're rolling into the election, and I haven't watched a lot of election coverage because I don't give a shit because they're all a bunch of statists. But the point is, I've noticed the people who the Republicans were trotting out, because you can't help but notice it. I mean, Newt Gingrich and Sanatorium and Herman Cain and the chick whose name I can't remember. Okay, for those of you who 3.5 years ago were fucking terrified of Sarah Palin, I just want to say, where the fuck is Sarah Palin? She's exactly where I said she was going to be. Nowhere in sight. You people really need to fucking stop hyperventilating and calm down and listen to what the fuck I tell you. Okay, 3.5 years ago, I told you, Sarah Palin will be completely fucking irrelevant in this election. And she's completely fucking irrelevant. Best case scenario for Sarah Palin, because the media made it look like there was this group of people that were all in love with Sarah Palin and, were like these over-the-top supporters of her. And let me say that I have friends that are left-wing statists, I have friends that are right-wing statists, And my sample size here, of course, is small and biased, but I'm just saying I know people who are like militant Obama supporters who suck his cock every chance they get. I was at the bar with them last night after they went to his speech. And I know people that are pretty militant Republican types, and, you know, I know people that are Mitzi supporters and shit. I do not know anybody, even amongst my right-wing statist friends, I don't know anybody that was a Sarah, or is, or was a Sarah Palin supporter. You know, so when the media tries to portray that there's all these right-wing wackos out there who are in love with Sarah Palin or are going to vote for her and shit, I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that I've never seen any of them. And so I'm dubious that they exist in these great numbers. I think it was the media just trying to get attention and scare people. So, but let's say best case scenario, Sarah Palin does have a wide range of rabid followers. You know, the best thing to do from the perspective of the Republican Party trying to win an election, you don't take a person like that and run them for president and then have them lose that election, because then you lose those people who are supporters. If the Republicans are smart, and they are smart about winning campaigns, and if Sarah Palin did in fact have all of these rabid followers, what you do is you do what I call the Rush Limbaugh effect. The Republicans do this with Rush Limbaugh. You don't run Rush Limbaugh for president because Rush Limbaugh has a following. What you do is you get Rush Limbaugh to endorse whoever you're running for president, and the people who follow Rush Limbaugh will mindlessly do whatever he says and support the person that you're running for president. If Sarah Palin had a following, and if the Republicans are smart, and they are smart about winning elections sometimes, only sometimes, what they would do is you don't put Sarah Palin in the race. You get Sarah Palin to endorse whoever you're running, in this case the Mitzi, and then her followers will, of course, do what she tells them to do and vote for the Mitzi. But I really don't think Sarah Palin even has that much power and that much influence, because Sarah Palin is, as I said 3.5 years ago, a fucking nobody. But you liberal Democrats are so fucking terrified and just so whiny and just basically so fucking stupid that you'll believe anything. So when somebody comes up and tells you that when Sarah Palin becomes president, she's going to outlaw abortion and force all the women in America to get pregnant, I mean, you believe that because you're just not very bright. I mean, you believed in the hope and the change. So you guys believe, this is what always kills me about presidential re-elections. Obama's running around saying, if you vote for me, I'm going to do this, and if you vote for me, we're going to do that. Wait, hold it. You've been president for 4 years. So you're saying, if I re-elect you, you're going to do these things. What the fuck have you been doing for the last 4 years? Yeah, it amazes me how nobody can get this. And it's not just the Messiah. I mean, it's any president. You go up, you've been president for 4 years, and you go up, you want to get reelected. What do? You run around and you make promises to people. And the people are so fucking stupid that they can't figure out, wait, the president is telling me that if I reelect him, he's going to do all this stuff. What the fuck has he been doing for 4 years? Why hasn't he done all of these things already? If all this stuff that the sitting current president is telling me he'll do upon re-election is stuff that he thinks should be done and that needs to be done and is the right thing to do, blah, 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 why the fuck has he been fucking around for 4 years and not doing any of it? But of course, those of you out there who are statist aren't smart enough to think of this. That's why you're statist, because if you're intelligent, you can't be a fucking statist. All right. We covered where is Sarah Palin. All right, here's a news flash. Ron Paul is not going to win the Republican nominee. I'm going to try to cover this briefly because I'm going to talk about this at length later. Ron Paul was either... Okay, so Ron Paul is never going to become president because... Not in the Republican Party. Because the neocons in the Republican Party are not going to let that happen. And for those of you who thought, so back before it was clear that Ron Paul was going to lose the nomination, here's what I would have said if I'd have recorded this podcast early enough. I would have said that either Ron Paul was going to very obviously be defeated in the primaries, which he was, or Ron Paul would actually win the primaries. Ron Paul would actually get to run for president against Obama, but he would certainly lose because, first of all, the neocons in the party would be working against Ron Paul's election, and of course the entire Democrat Party would be working against Ron Paul, and Ron Paul would get smeared by Obama. And this would be exactly what the neocons wanted, because that would allow them to discredit Ron Paul and by extension discredit libertarianism, which has been in the minds of at least a lot of Republicans. Ron Paul has been linked to libertarianism. So if you can so the Republican Party and the neocons could come up and say, look, we put Ron Paul up against the liberal Democrats. We put Ron Paul up against Obama, and he lost. And so what that means is libertarianism lost. See, your ideas that you crazy libertarians in the Republican Party have aren't going to work. You need to understand that we, the neoconners, and the right-wing conservative Christians, we're the only ones who can pull this off. We're the ones you have to support because your libertarian ideas don't work. They lost. So it would have been a way to discredit Ron Paul, and more importantly, to discredit the libertarian-oriented wing of the Republican Party. Well, that didn't happen. That's not the route they took. The route they did take was to defeat Ron Paul in the primaries. Which is odd because, as Ben Stone over at badquaker.com on the Bad Quaker podcast has said, and I completely agree with him, this is a great point. Ben pointed out, how is it that there's all these people that support Ron Paul, and all these people come out for Ron Paul, way more people coming out to see Ron Paul than to see the other idiots in the Republican primaries. Playoffs. They are actually playoffs. It is a game. All these people coming out to see Ron Paul, all these people claiming to support Ron Paul, all these people saying they support Ron Paul, and yet Ron Paul goes into the primaries and gets his ass kicked. So it's like, wait, where are all these people who, and of course the short answer is that the elections are rigged. I know that's news for many of you out there who vote, think, oh, no, my vote's important. Well, no, your vote is not important because you may get to vote, but you don't get to count the votes. And talking about primaries, this is where I have to make sure I get this in. Let me take a moment to remind you of how great I am. Who was it over 4 years ago who predicted Hillary Clinton would be the next president of the United States? Yeah, it was me. And then Hussein Obama won the Democrat primary and went on to become president of the United States. Or did he? Let me remind you. Barack Obama, popular vote, 17 million. God, I can't read numbers. Hold on, stand by. Hussein Obama, the Barack baby. Popular vote, 17,584,600. Wait, I can't read the last number. Right, yeah, see, I just want to do it all again. Hussein Obama, popular vote, 17,584,692 votes. 47.31% of the popular vote in the Democrat Party primaries. Hillary Clinton, popular vote, 17,857,501 votes. 48.04% of the popular vote in the Democrat primary. Now, last time I checked, 17,800,000 is more votes than 17,500,000. Hillary Clinton got more popular votes in the Democrat primary than his Lord and Savior, Hussein Obama. If you believe your vote counts, you are a stupid motherfucker. There's no other kind way to say it. Okay? I was right. If every vote counted, and if democracy actually mattered in the primaries of the Democrat Party, right now, today, Hillary Clinton, as I predicted, would be president of the United States. But no. And we see the same thing. Yeah, the same thing happened in the Republican primaries this time around. If every vote counted, Ron Paul might very well be running for president right now. But he's not. You know why, you little fucking Republican tards? Because your votes don't fucking count. Because the neocons count the votes, and your votes don't fucking matter. All right. That was Ron Paul done. Now, speaking of Bad Quaker, hold on, I need to take a puff off my Vaporsmith's electronic cigarette. Nicotine. I love nicotine in the morning. As much as I love yoga. Did yoga this morning. It was good. Have my coffee and my nicotine. All right, Vaporsmiths. Available at vaporsmiths.com. Click the link on the website. Yeah. A little commercial there. All right. Now, this is also, I give credit where credit's due, and I remember to do it. Ben Stone over at Bad Quaker first articulated this theory, or at least he's the first person I heard articulating it. And when I heard this, I thought, yeah, he's probably absolutely right about this. Ben Stone's theory, and my theory, the theory that I agree with, is that the Republicans are not necessarily out to win this presidential election. And this makes a lot of sense. First of all, you're running Mitzi Romney against Obama. I mean, Obama is a murdering statist pig fuckwad, but he is charismatic. He has a lot of religious followers. I mean, he is black. I mean, and he's young, relatively speaking. I mean, throwing Mitzi up against this guy is not very likely to produce a win for the Republicans. So Ben Stone's theory, which I agree with, is that, first of all, and let me also point out that if I get any of what I'm saying is Ben Stone's theory wrong, that's because I'm working from memory, so I'm not trying to speak for Ben Stone. I'm just trying to give Ben Stone credit as being the person who made me think in this direction also. So I should probably stop saying Ben Stone's theory. My variation of Ben Stone's theory is this. The President of the United States at any given time pretty much gets credit for whatever happens, or blame. Like, for example, look at all the people who think that Obama passed health care reform, right? No, Congress passed health care reform. Obama just happened to be president when it happened. Or the fact that right now Obama is killing all these people in foreign countries with flying robots. Yes, he is. And so Obama is now sort of known, for those of us in the freedom movement, as the drone president. But had anybody else been president right now, today, during this time frame, as the drones became better and more available, that person also would have used the drones. So the president gets credit or blame for whatever happens, while he or she, when Hillary Clinton wins, which she will, I didn't cover that yet. Anyway, Hillary Clinton will be president. So when the president, he or she wins. Take three. When the president, whoever he or she may be, is in office, whatever happens under that president gets blamed or credit for. So things are still pretty shitty. The economy is shitty, even though people are pretending that it's rebounded because Obama's trying to get reelected, blah, blah, blah. The Republicans don't necessarily want to win the election because they can keep Obama in there, and Obama can keep getting blamed for what's going on, and that can help to put the Republicans in a stronger position at the end of Obama's term, when the Democrats have to dredge up somebody new who's going to be Hillary Clinton and who is going to beat the shit out of whoever the Republicans run. But that's another topic. We'll get to that. Another reason, though, I think the Republicans want to lose, and this is what Ben Stone first said that really made me go, hey, that's fucking brilliant, is, so we have the election now. Mitzi loses. Obama comes in. This, and he keeps doing stupid shit. This gives the Republicans an opportunity to really stir the pot with the libertarians in their movement and the Tea Party and all this other stuff. And it gives them a lot more ammunition to try and get more Republicans into Congress 2 years from now when the next congressional elections come around. Because while all of the emphasis, of course, is always on the president, because the president of the United States is, of course, the person that the stupid people think is the king, and everybody thinks the president controls the economy, and the president can do this, and the president can do that, and you know, there's this worship, this hero worship around the presidency itself, not just the person who's in there, but it's all about who's president of the United States. And of course, as we can see, Congress is at least equally important, because it was Congress who passed healthcare reform. You know, it's Congress that passed the Patriot Act. It's Congress that doles out all of this money to bail out corporations, and it's Congress that continues to fund murdering people in foreign countries with flying robots. So control of Congress is not as glamorous for a party, you know, as controlling the presidency. You know, to say we are the Democrat Party and we, you know, Obama is president, or we are the Republicans and Reagan is president, is very glamorous. But controlling Congress is equally important when you're trying to murder people in foreign countries and raise taxes and, you know, control other people and just generally be a statist. So losing this presidency will probably help the Republicans get more seats in Congress 2 years from now, which is beneficial for them. Especially when, you know, the next election rolls around, Hillary Clinton runs and Hillary Clinton wins. Because then, you know, if the Republicans can have Congress packed with Republicans when she comes in, that's going to help them out from their perspective. Keep in mind, through all of this, I am not at any point endorsing statism or any of these candidates. This is the part of politics I actually like. Politics to me is like professional wrestling. I love WWE, WWF, whatever they're called nowadays. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Because I am, of course, the Stone Cold Steve Austin of libertarianism. You know, I love the whole thing because it's so over the top and so theatrical and so funny. And that's, to me, exactly how the presidential elections are. It's so over the top and it's so theatrical. And this stuff is all so obviously fake. And yet there's so many of you out there who actually believe that Obama and Mitzi, like, care about you. And they're going to do all this good stuff. And, like, they're, you know, these are, like, out of the billions of people on the planet Earth, these two guys are the two best options to be president of the United States. I mean, it's just so obviously fake. It's so obviously rigged. You know, it's so obviously such a joke. And yet so many of you take this so seriously. I just find that humorous. And so I love doing commentary on presidential elections, just because of the entertainment value. Right, so it's controlling Congress is what's important, because, like I said, the Patriot Act and funding the wars and funding the drones and all this other shit. And, you know, and Obama, of course, is taking quote-unquote credit or blame for all of this. You know, indefinite detention bill that he signed, the bailouts of all the corporations, raising the debt ceiling, escalating the war on drugs, you know, attacking the medical marijuana dispensaries in California. I mean, obviously, Obama, as a president, is contributing to all of these things, but he can't do this shit without Congress. At the very least, Congress has to not stop him from doing these things. Right? But who's getting the blame for all of this? Well, the Messiah gets the blame, and the Republicans in Congress get to skate. So the Republican strategy is lose this election, and then tap into all of the right-wingers, the Republicans, the neo-libertarians, you know, the Sarah Palin supporters, all three of them. Get all of these people outraged and pissed off, And then 2 years from now, you get more people in Congress. I think that might be their strategy. And like I say, gearing up to counteract Hillary when she wins 4 years from now. Now let's talk about Hillary. Let's talk about what's going to happen unless the universe turns inside out. Okay, first of all, Obama is going to win re-election against the Mitzi. I do not think it's possible for Mitzi to win this presidential election. I do think it's possible for the Messiah to lose this presidential election, but I think it's incredibly unlikely. I was discussing this quite some time ago and trying to come up with a scenario in which I think the Messiah would actually lose this election. And honestly, the only thing I've been able to come up with is if unemployment plummeted, or rose, I suppose would be the more accurate way to say it. If unemployment rose to like 30%, and I'll put that as a solid number. If unemployment numbers hit 30%, I think Obama would lose the election. Beyond that, I really don't think there's anything he can do or not do within, the bounds of reality that will cause him to lose his election. Like, for example, if he started another war, people who voted for him are still going to vote for him because they don't care about killing people in foreign countries with flying robots. They're fine with that, right? They're not anti-war people. They're pro-Democrat, anti-Republican people. If he, raised taxes, that would not prevent people from voting. He would still win the election. If he bailed out some other group of corporations, he's still going to win. There's literally nothing he can do politically that I can think of that will cause him to lose the election, because his supporters are so obsessed and in love with him. And, they worship him. And there's nothing, he can do no wrong in their eyes. Then we came to, well, what could he theoretically do that's not in the realm of possibility? And I don't think there's anything there. I think that literally Hussein Obama could be caught on video having ass sex with an 8-year-old boy, and he could actually come out and say, yes, I cheated on my wife, I had sex with an 8-year-old boy, and he would still win the election. And I'm not saying he did that. I'm not fucking accusing him of anything, for those of you that are stupid. I'm saying that as the most outlandish possibility, if that happened, and I don't think it will. I'm not saying it will or it did, but I'm saying if that happened, he would still win re-election. So there is literally nothing other than a 30% unemployment rate. That is the only thing that I think might cause Obama to lose this election. And the odds of that happening are pretty much zero at this point. So he's going to win. If he does not win, there's something that I'm going to be really fucking suspicious about. Voter fraud. Rigged ballots. So anyhow, Obama is pretty much guaranteed to win this election. That's a prediction. You can write that down and hold me to it. If he wins, when he wins, 4 years from now, let me cover this real quick. There's been some talk I've heard here and there, on the internet where people have too much free time, about are the Democrats going to dump Joseph Biden as the vice president and put Hillary Clinton in as VP? You can write this one down also. Fuck no. Vice presidency is a goddamn useless ass position where you put dead weight. It's where you put people because, they have pictures of you naked with a stripper or something like that, okay? It's a nothing. Hillary Clinton is the fucking Secretary of State. She is arguably the second most powerful human on the planet Earth. They are not going to give the vice presidency slot to Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton, unless she's just stupid as hell, and I don't think she is, she's not going to accept it. That would be the dumbest thing she could ever do. So no, Hillary Clinton is not going to be vice president. Hillary Clinton is exactly where she needs to be from the perspective of Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party. Okay, not going to happen. 4 years from now, unless the Democrat Party is just fucking stupid as hell, which is always possible. I don't ever want to discount stupidity when it comes to statists. But unless they're fucking stupid, they're going to run Hillary for president. I mean, yeah, I know that there's going to have to be some other people in the primary so that she can debate them and blah, blah, blah. But if they run Hillary Clinton 4 years from now on the end of a even... And unless, okay, in the next 4 years, Obama's next term could potentially be a disaster. But I kind of doubt it. I mean, unless unemployment hits 30% or Obama does get caught having butt sex with an 8-year-old boy, they're going to ride the wave. Everything's going to be great. You run Hillary on the tail end of Obama, she will fucking annihilate anybody the Republicans can dredge up from the bottom of the barrel where they seem to be spending a lot of their time. So there it is. I mean, that is a prediction. Write it down. Hold me to it. The next president of the United States after Obama is going to be Hillary Clinton, unless the universe turns inside out. Let's see. Let me take a look at this. I covered all this. Wow, I'm doing amazingly good. For me. Let's see if Obama wins. Democrats will run Hillary. She will win. I did a prediction. Well, I did that. Nope. Secretary of State is way too important. And also keep in mind that being Secretary of the State keeps her away from Obama and doing actual important stuff. If Hillary Clinton was vice president, she wouldn't have very much important stuff to do. And I'm not sure how well, considering, that Obama fucked Hillary out of the presidency 4 years ago. And I don't have inside information. I'm just saying those two might not get along really well behind closed doors. I don't know. That's just a theory. All I know is that if I had more popular votes than the Messiah and he got to be president and not me, I would not be a fan of his. Okay, so Hillary's going to keep doing what Hillary's doing. Secretary of State, she is setting herself up to be president. I disagree with her on virtually everything, but she is an intelligent human being. She knows what the fuck she's doing. That's why she's going to win the presidency 4 years from now, just in case I haven't made it clear that I am predicting that Hillary Clinton will be president of the United States 4 years from now. That is a fucking prediction. It will be right. If anybody thinks I'm wrong, well, in 4 years, we will find out. And when I'm right, I'm going to fucking laugh at all of you who thought I was wrong. All right, so presidential election, let's get back to that. Should I talk about Paul Ryan? Paul Ryan. I'd love to talk about Paul Ryan. Who the fuck is Paul Ryan, and who gives a shit? Here's why I think Paul Ryan was selected as the vice president nominee for Mitzi. There's a lot of really stupid people in the Republican Party. Ron Paul's name is Ron Paul. Paul Ryan's name is Paul Ryan. Ron Paul, Paul Ryan. They're similar. I think he was selected because a lot of stupid people in the Republican Party are going to think, well, his name sounds kind of like Ron Paul's name, so he must be a libertarian like Ron Paul, and so I support Ron Paul, and so I should support Paul Ryan, and so I should vote for Mitzi, because if Mitzi's president, then Paul Ryan will be vice president. And that may sound really stupid to some of you out there, but I think that's the reason, and I think it's going to work. Yeah, Paul Ryan, I don't know anything about Paul Ryan. I don't give a shit about Paul Ryan enough to even type Paul Ryan's name into Google and see what comes up. I mean, Paul Ryan is a right-wing, neocon Republican Party statist. What more do we need to know? He'll be vice president. He'll walk around. He'll get paid a bunch of money for doing nothing. He will support murdering people in foreign countries with flying robots. He will support regulations. He will support raising taxes. He will, he's the fucking statist. It doesn't matter who the fuck Paul Ryan is or what he thinks as if he thinks or what he believes because he believes what he's told to believe, just like everybody else at that level. So there we go. That's pretty much all I have to say about Paul Ryan. And yeah. So let's close it off with this. While I believe Obama is going to win, I'm certain Obama is going to win, I would prefer My personal preference would be for the Mitzi to win. And here's why. Not because Mitzi is going to be a better president, because they're all a bunch of statist pigs. Here's why. I think that it's always best for every sitting president to lose. We need to turn the presidency over every 4 years. First of all, I'd love to see Obama personally be a one-term president, because there's nothing more humiliating and degrading in the world of presidential politics to have been a one-term president. That is like the ultimate in loserness. And even W. Bush, the second worst president in history after useless S. Grant, got 2 terms. I mean, for any president, going here for any president to be a one-term president after W. Bush getting 2 terms, that is going to be so degrading and humiliating. Also, of course, when you turn over the presidency, then, of course, you have to reshuffle everything, and you have to get all the new nominees in and everything. And basically, it takes the government, for a brief time, it distracts the government from murdering people and passing laws and putting black people in jail for having marijuana where they get raped by other people and all this other stuff. It distracts the government from that so they can sit around and scrutinize other people who have been appointed as nominees for this and nominee for that, whatever. And more chaos in the government is a good thing, because the more you can distract the federal government from killing people and imprisoning people and making things against the law, that it slows down the race that we're in right now to get to this totalitarian state where everything is controlled by the government, which is what we're going towards. So anyhow, I mean, that's the main reason. I think every 4 years, my policy, if you're going to degrade yourself by voting in the presidential election, vote for whoever is not the current president. It does, because remember, politically speaking, the Republicans and the Democrats are fucking the same. They're both statist. Again, we've had Obama 4 years. What's different? Drug war still happening. War on terrorism still happening. TSA still happening. Bailouts of corporations still happening. Rich people not paying taxes still happening. Corporations not paying taxes still happening. Killing people in foreign countries has escalated under the Messiah. I mean, nothing is. If there was who was it? McCain? Yeah. If McCain had been president for the last 4 years, what would be different? Okay? Nothing. So the idea that voting for a president based on ideology is going to make it, it's not. If you're going to degrade yourself and vote in the presidential election, just vote for whoever is not currently the president. Whether they're Republican or Democrat, it doesn't fucking matter. Just get the guy who's in there, or the woman, 4 years from now when Hillary wins. Get the person who's in there out, so that government can waste more of its time chomping on its own tail, and we don't get to totalitarianism a little bit sooner. And that's pretty much all I think that needs to be said about the presidential election.